In today's video, we're going to check out a brand new chassis for the Ascent 18 from DBRC Chassis Dynamics. It's really cool and really affordable, so I think you guys are going to like that, as well as sort of look at my Ascent 18 as a whole, because I've made a bunch of changes to it, and I think you guys are going to like that too. Alright, so here's the chassis. This is the Roadrunner chassis from DBRC Chassis Dynamics. If you don't know who DBRC Chassis Dynamics are, they make a lot of really cool stuff, and they have an Etsy store and an Instagram that I'll link in the description. But yeah, so far, Davey, the owner of DBRC Chassis Dynamics, has been really responsive regarding this chassis in particular, and the Gila Monster that I got as well. He also told me how to pronounce Gila Monster correctly, because I was definitely going to say Gila Monster. DBRC Chassis Dynamics is probably best known for that Gila Monster chassis. It's a really cool chassis for the TRX-4M, and we will be reviewing that one soon. I'm just waiting on a body for it. Anyway, back to the Roadrunner topic of today's video. So as you can see, just from looking at the side, we have a lot of options already on this chassis. We have a lot of options for shock mounting, both in the front and the rear, as well as what appears to be a bunch of different kind of like link mounts. If you come around to the front, you'll notice that I have a body mount here. And so this is the long version, and I've got some magnets in there because I'm using magnets to hold the body on. But it also comes in a short version, which I would imagine looks a lot like the rear version, and it's just as long, I guess, as the shock tower. So you have a long and a short option for this if you want. I went for the long because it's supposed to fit the most bodies. You can also do a unicorn mount. There's a hole in the front and the rear for that, so you have options there. So I'm not going to pretend to be an expert when it comes to crawler geometry and chassis geometry. So there's a lot that I don't know, but what I do know is that this chassis has a nice angled skid that's going to help with our breakover. It also has a very, very nice ability to tuck our drive shafts up and out of the way. So that's really nice, much nicer than it would have been on the stock chassis where they hang down just a little bit below the links. And yeah, overall, I'd say it looks really good. It comes printable in two materials. So $25 will get you this material here, which is supposed to be more heat resistant. Yeah, so there's a more heat resistant material like this one, and then there's a $20 version that is I guess more of a standard version of the material that it gets printed with. So I went for the more heat resistant because I was initially kind of concerned about like a 3D printed chassis and how it was going to hold up in general. However, I am not concerned at all anymore because having put this thing together, it is a tank. It feels extremely rigid. It feels strong. I have no worries about anything bad happening to this chassis, but we'll have to see what happens when we actually run it. Another thing about this chassis is you may have noticed it is extremely tight. Like if you look at the sides here, it is much, much more condensed than the original Red Cat chassis where it would come out far enough to mount your bumpers and whatnot. And it does not have as much space to mount things like electronics and batteries. So you'll have to get a little bit creative with your mounting, but I don't think that's going to be a very big deal. It looks like, so how I have it right now, I'm using the stock electronics. So on one side, we'll have my ESC receiver, and on the other side is where I'm going to put the battery. But if I did decide at some point that I wanted to change that up from the norm, I think I could probably do something or another to get a battery in the back here. Maybe just put a little plate in there or something like that. But as far as that goes, that's about all you have for mounting positions because, I mean, your body's going to be basically sitting on these, so there's not really a lot of options there. We'll come around to the front here. This is another area where I had a little bit of an issue, and this may have just kind of might have been a user error kind of thing. Depending on where I mount the shocks, my motor can here, and it may just be that I need a shorter motor, and maybe that I need to flip the transmission around or something like that. But if I have my shocks mounted in certain positions, my motor will hit my upper links. So right now I have it where I'm pretty darn happy with it. I think this is going to be fine. And it doesn't happen in like an articulation sort of situation. It's more of like a full compress is when it'll happen. So just something to know, something to think about. I did not ask them about this, so there may be a solution to it that I'm not thinking of, but it seems that just choosing to mount my shocks in a better location was the way to deal with it for me. There is another thing that if you do buy this chassis, you might run into, and I had to think about it kind of a lot before I actually went back to the Etsy store and read the description a little bit more. So the skid plate for the Ascent 18 is kind of wide. It's wider than these body shock mount kind of things here. So at first I was kind of concerned because I felt like I had to bend it in order to get it to mount here, but that is actually exactly what you're supposed to do. So it's a little wider in the middle, and it just kind of angles in the front and the back. This 3D printed plastic has absolutely just no issues with that. It's holding together great. So anyway, with that being said, I think it's time to show you guys the rest of the changes that happened to my Ascent 18, and we'll get out and we'll do some running. All right, I would like to thank possibly a subscriber and a commenter for sure on the inspiration for this body. His name is Bucky something. I don't remember the number, but he calls the Red Cat Ascent 18 the Red Kitten, and I thought that was hilarious. So I made a Red Bull livery with kittens. And yeah, here we are. So this is actually sort of like a whole different project that I had going on. Flub RC had a build off for their E-Series body, and this is the one that I decided to do. So I hope you guys like it. I think it looks pretty cool. There it is, all lit up. So the lights shine really well through that piece there. I kind of wish that I would have went more like a Nightshades tinting route instead of what I did. So I was getting crazy. All these decals and stuff on here are water slides that I printed myself. I designed them in Photoshop and printed them out and cut them out manually. No crickets here, unfortunately. But so I was like, well, I could just make some tint for this. And it worked pretty well, but I honestly think that like a spray tint probably would have been a little bit more even. It seems to be evening out over time though, so hopefully it continues to look good. So it's got two kinds of headlights there. It's also got taillights. And as you may have seen at first, we have a full interior and my cool little Lego driver in there. I painted her to match. And if you see, she's actually holding the steering wheel, which was more effort than I thought it was going to be. Anyway, so there's the body. Not really what this video is about, but I'm really proud of it, so I wanted to show it off. So yesterday we had the broken link tragedy. Today we fixed it. Thankful that I was able to get a set of steel injora links on here quick. They're the high clearance ones even, and I think they look rather snazzy on here, I must say. But gotta remind myself once again that despite all the changes, this video is about the chassis. So let's talk about it. Got out there, ran it some more, tried it in a little rock garden near my house, tried it on some lines that I just didn't even think were possible. Like I was like making up lines, and I'm not like the biggest rock crawler, more of a trail truck guy, but this was for rock crawling. So I definitely tried to make sure to try things that I thought were going to be hard or impossible. And the Ascent 18 did phenomenal. It did a fantastic job, actually. I was able to get up and over things that I absolutely didn't think I was going to be able to, because most of the time what it would do is it would get like hung up on that. And I think with however this geometry is set up and with our angled skid and all this stuff here, I think that the Ascent 18 there's nothing stopping it. Like my approach angle is wonderful now because it's just tires. There's no bumper, there's no part of a chassis there anywhere to get in the way. It's just tires, straight onto whatever, and if I can get on top, I'm definitely getting over. So fantastic as far as that goes. Everything just feels better on my Ascent 18 now with this chassis. So very happy with it. I would definitely recommend it. I will link DBRC Chassis Dynamics Etsy store in the description of this video. Go check him out. Support a small business. He's got the Gila monsters for the TRX-4M people. I think there's a long version of it. He's got all sorts of really cool stuff, and a new chassis called the King Snake that also looks really cool. So definitely check them out. And if you have an Ascent 18 and you want to spend $25 on it, I would say that this is definitely one of the best things you could spend 25 bucks on for your Ascent 18. It transforms it and makes it a much better rock crawler overall. As far as any issues with it that I had, like I said, those front links did hit the motor, but that was just a couple shock placement changes. And there are so many different places to put the shocks on here that it's very likely that wherever I was putting it was just kind of unrealistic. Now I really like this thing, and I think it will continue to stay on rock crawling duty, and that'll be fine. You know, I've always been like a trail truck guy because I was like, no, I want them to be able to make it to the rocks under their own power. But as you have seen in this video, I now have a trailer, which I will review separately. And the FCX18 pulled my Red Cat Ascent out to the rocks. And the reason that I did that was actually because I didn't want to get this dirty. It's for a build along, and I need to take some pictures of it and stuff like that. So didn't want to get it dirty. I didn't want to scratch it up, mess it up, anything like that. So why did I not take pictures before making this video? I don't know why I do the things that I do. But it was fun to pull it out there with the trailer. I will say, though, that the FCX18 did struggle a little bit, and now I'm kind of thinking about turning it into some kind of tow rig. So keep your eyes peeled. Maybe I'll do that. Excellent chassis. Let me know what you guys think about my Ascent 18. I'm really proud of the body. I think it looks pretty cool. There were some issues while painting, but you know what? I'm going to scratch most of the paint off probably on some rocks anyway. So, you know, we build beautiful things to destroy them, and that's how it is. All right, I think I'm starting to ramble now. So if you guys like this video, give me a like. And if you like this type of content, you should subscribe. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers, and I have a lot of cool stuff coming up actually to show you. So subscribing would be good at this point in time.